Hi folks, we're Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio, radio, no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you're driving along in your car or your truck, or stick in your earbuds as you're sitting on public transport. In this essay, I'd like to talk about another case of stage-managed, choreographed, United Nations funded propaganda, supposedly fighting back against this violence against women. Now, the argument is, and I'll come back to some details in a moment, but the argument is that violence only in the rich white countries, violence against women, intense, unspeakable levels of violence, has been normalized. Now, the definition of violence, of course, is exceedingly broad. For example, taking a photograph of someone without their permission or something like that. But the violence against women has been normalized by evil, misogynist, patriarchal, fascist, Nazi, Hitler, swastika-waving men, and something must be done. The brave girlie fight back against this oppression has to take place. So, having set the stage for that, now, is there in fact this normalized violence or sexual violence? Well, no. Is there any evidence to prove it? Well, no. Is there anything to say that it's more than it's ever been, or less, or this? Well, no. So what evidence is there? Well, there are a few lesbian academics, gender studies people who pumped out a bit of propaganda. Well, is that factually based? Well, no, it's just a radical Marxist opinion. Doesn't matter. That'll do. That's all we need to run with. We'll just have that. The media will run cover for us, as indeed will most of the Western governments who are on board with the globalist project. And this is part of the wider globalist project, by the way. So it's just one of the the inputs to destabilizing Western society. But so just claim something to be so, and then assert it to be so, and that's it. Then you take action to counter the problem that doesn't exist. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? I think. And so here we go. Now, they've chosen, as they do with these things, they've chosen a spokesperson, a spokesgirl, and now here's a 17-year-old girl, 17, okay? Now, this 17-year-old girl who is in one of the richest countries in the world, who is lives in one of the richest suburbs in the world, and certainly one of the richest suburbs in Australia and thus the world, who goes to one of the most expensive private girls' school in the world, decides that she just like that, she just gets up one day and decides that she's going to lead the fight back against this normalization of sexual violence. Now, what knowledge, understanding, or anything does this 17-year-old girl have? Well, none, but that doesn't matter. And if you say you've got a problem with it, then you are Hitler. Now, it's no accident that the head mistress at this school, the principal, just happens to be a radical feminist activist, very much tied in with the United Nations and the activism from there. And she's a talent scout for picking girls to go into prominent, misandrist type occupations, the hatred of men, misandrist occupations. So these are, she's picking lesbian girls and girls who can be easily controlled by the globalist cabal, and who'll be useful spokespeople who can go around the world saying, "Oh, violence has never been worse," and this sort of thing. Now, again, they're saying that in the richest, most regulated countries in the world, where women are the richest, most pampered, most protected, most everything, it's only in those countries where this violence is at crescendo pitch. Now, I mean, could anybody even believe that at a start? I mean, but anyway, so the 17-year-old girls she's picked, she selected, we'll use her, and so she becomes the spokesperson. Now, the pattern is the same. I mean, it's just so well worn now. She's immediately given numerous book deals, public book publishing deals. She supposedly suddenly at 17 years old is an absolute expert on this subject, and she writes books, covering the history of it and how it's so bad today. This 17-year-old girl in one of the richest suburbs in Australia, that's 99.7% white. She's now, apparently it's only white men that do this. None of the other, it's only straight white men. do this, which is already very, very suspicious, because that's the globalists' main target. That's what they really want to attack. And just so coincidentally happens that that's what this girl said. Well, that's the problem. It's all those damn straight white males. She gets the book deals. Then there's various NGOs and United Nations activist groups that then appoint her as the chairman and the spokesperson and the ambassador. And at 18, she's getting a higher income than 99% of the Australian population do. In fact, 99.7% of the Australian population can get paid as much money as she does, and she's only fucking 18, for goodness sakes. So she's being showered with gifts and trinkets and so on, beyond the wildest dreams of anybody, and none of it's meritorious. She's just being used as a stooge porn flunky. She then supposedly goes to these Ivy League universities and is a triple A grade student. In spite of being quite an ordinary student at high school, she suddenly becomes a fucking genius. PhDs coming out of her ass. And so she's swanning around the world, and swanning around Australia, but the world as well, on the activist propaganda circuit, and getting very softball interviews. No one's asked. She can say, well, 900 million, thousand, gazillion, trillion men are oppressing women every day. And then the interviewer will just nod. Oh, right, yes. Oh, it's terrible. No one's challenging. No one's pushing back. No one's saying, can you verify that? What is your source for that? And so on. So she just gets softball interviews and runs. Not bad looking girl, actually, but she is running around with this nonsense. But we need to understand just the extent to which the entire narrative is choreographed, stage managed to the nth degree. They've invented her. They took her out back, put her in a factory and invented her to serve their purposes, which is purveying lies and propaganda. Now, if the problem is as bad as this normalized sexual violence types thing, the problem is as bad, you don't need to tell any lies. You don't need to make anything up. You don't need to utter any untruths. You don't need to inflate facts. You just straight state clearly the facts. And if it is as bad as they say, and they say it's like really, really bad, then the facts will speak for themselves. But of course, that's not what it is. It's all an insane ideological narrative that's part of the globalist project to emasculate the West and to make sure that all the Western countries are just an easy pushover for the globalists to install their one world government. As long as you've got those damn straight white males that want, these straight white males can the height of these motherfuckers. They want things like free and fair elections and probity elections. They want things like independent courts, the rule of law and due legal process. They want those things. They're fucking Nazis. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.